And to you, Martin.
Hello, everyone. This is Martin Shervington. It is Thursday, the 8th of May, 2014, and it's the Plus Your Business show. So, well, you probably want to know what we're going to cover in the show. So let me begin with letting you know we're going to look at the Canva Quest that we did yesterday and the event we had with Guy Kawasaki and Peg Fitzpatrick, which was very cool. And I'm going to be coming across to Hilary and to Stan to chat about, well, what some of you got up to. And then I'm going to have a chat with a buddy of mine by the name of Luis. And Luis is an expert in Google Local. He's going to be a very familiar face, but he's been around for a long time. So I just want to make sure you know what he gets up to, because he's a very smart guy, a very good guy, and delighted to have him as a Plus Your Business community member. Then I'm going to come across to Mike Alton. I'm going to have a chat about Hootsuite, because I like saying that. It's quite a nice word. Hootsuite. We're going to talk about Hootsuite, as he's got his book coming out soon, and he's going to give you some tips around using that for your brand page. Then we may well have some other people from the community popping on in, all being well, and I can see Peter Learn and Richard Clarkson watching, so it's great to see you guys. And drop your questions in, and I'll pick those up and hopefully weave them in throughout the show too. There we go. That's me. I'm in San Diego, so I've been at the beach. I'm very casual, but I've made it on time, Travis. How are you?
Good, Martin. How are you?
Doing all right. Doing fine.
So, yes, here we are.
Good. How's things up with in your neck of the woods? How are you and Cor in the studio?
Good, good. We've had a pretty good morning so far. Everything seems to be working as it should. We can talk about this another time, but just briefly, we're streaming to 2 different places on the Plus Your Business YouTube channel, if you can believe that. So we had one go off at the right time, and then this one's catching up now.
But we're learning a lot in the process. I think that's the main thing. Let's put it down to that. We're learning a lot, which is cool. So let's come across to Hilary first. Hilary, how are you?
Good. How's everybody doing this morning, this afternoon, depending where you're at, this evening? So I had the pleasure of being with Canva Team B, Canva Quest Team B. You know who you are, exactly. There you go, Mike. So I just wanted to, give a shout out to just some of the team members. We had some great images that were shared with Guy and Peggy yesterday, and just wanted to thank everyone again for their hard work. And just mention some of them again with Julie Deneen had a great one for family to show how you can add in some of your family photos, and Guy even pointed out how you can add them all into separate frames very easily. Great to know for families that you can do different things. Les Proctor really went above and beyond and had all of his steps, centered around using the word F for fitness, finance, food, some different ones, and those were really fun to see how he created those.
So you just use a fun F word then, just so you tagged it. I see, I know, you're doing the whole kind of like relatable.
It was fabulous.
Well done.
And just one other one I wanted to say was Carrie Bowen Dunham. She did a great job of really pulling all the profiles together into the image that she made and taking everybody in there. So I really, really appreciate those efforts. It was great.
Super, super. And how did you get on with the event yesterday with Guy and Peg? What were your thoughts on that?
So it was interesting to hear their perspectives and how yeah, Stan's laughing, and where they see with Canva and how it's fitting in, and some of the comments with, I really heard that if a post is worth the time, it's worth the time taking those few extra minutes to have an image, or if you can't have a video or something else, to really look at taking those few minutes and perhaps using something like Canva to create that meaningful image.
It's great, and I love the site, and I've been working with my assistant in the cloud, essentially. That was the key thing I was telling people, is that it means that I don't have to receive the image and say, no, that doesn't work, or that's great. It's that we can just go and work on it together. I like it. I'm delighted that event went so well and people enjoyed it. This is
Yep,
cool.
that being able to edit is great. So I can send somebody else that image and say, hey, here you go. If you want to edit the text, do whatever you want. It's so simple.
It's great, and it's like the cloud solution. I mean, that's why we love Drive, is that you can collaborate on stuff. So we're using this with Plus Your Business. We're only really going to tell you about things that we're using ourselves. So this is cool. So thank you, Hilary. And Dan, come on to you.
Well,
You were Team A.
I was with Team A, which you know, was the. See, I think everybody won in that. It was a lot of fun. There was not. It was just such a great event. I think everybody won in that. But Team A, you know, we had a slight edge because of the community and stuff that we put up real fast. You know, the community. We had a community and a hangout, a live hangout that was what I call a perpetual hangout. You know, where we could all message back and forth real quick. And that was, I think that was key to it. But we had Daft Griffiths did that thing with the clone. I've never bricked. He said tied in the old with the new about the Monopoly and Star Wars. Yep,
yeah.
Star Wars. That was really good. Ray and did a great job. But I had there was a lot of very good team members across the board. There was great people.
Well, it was just a great way of bringing people together. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Love that. So one of the things I'll throw in now is I'm building as we speak. I've got an event with not Guy Kawasaki, that was yesterday. Event with Chris Brogan next Wednesday. And so I'm building a circle now around that, and we're going to play something. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, but I've got a vague idea, because his new book is The Freaks Will Inherit the Earth, which I'm about halfway through at the moment. So that's great. So I want to get people together and get people excited about that event too. So the idea of quests, I like the idea of quests.
A freak quest. So you can ask everybody to get their freak on? Is that the deal?
Exactly. Hashtag freak quest. Yeah. So that'd be good. So if you're watching this, and jump to my profile if you're watching it live. Otherwise, it's probably happened. It was probably a lot of fun, and you'll be on to the next one. But let me go jump into a conversation now with Louis Scalazza. Louis, do you say the S for your name, Louis?
Yes, you can call me Louis. Doesn't matter. I'm used to it.
Cool. So whereabouts in the world are you to start with?
I'm in Massachusetts, United States, over here in Leominster. I'm like around 40 minutes from Boston.
Okay. Cool. And would you like to explain what you get up to, particularly around Google+?
Well, if it's particularly about Google+, it's a focus on Google Places, Google Local.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. You know, help different small businesses and mid-sized businesses, to use it the right way, and optimize it the right way,
Okay, so let's dive into that. So what does it mean for a local business to be using it the right way?
Well, a lot of people think that, especially a lot of business owners think, okay, I noticed that Google already gave me a free type of super basic profile, which includes your business name, maybe your address and your phone number, stuff like that, no?
So this is like the auto-generated local page.
The auto-generated. So a lot of people think that, okay, I have that, I should be all set because it's already appearing on the search results for their company name when somebody's searching for the company name, What they forget is usually when people are looking for their products or services, they're gonna be searching for that specific product or service in the local area.
Yeah.
So to optimize that profile, they should have a complete profile, have picture about their business in that profile, have information like a bio type of information about the and about us type of that about that company. Yeah. And the more information that you put about your company in that profile, the better optimized will be, and the more results you're gonna get from it. You're gonna have your link to your website. If you have some kind of events, you can put the links in there. You can put the links for to your other social media profiles like Facebook, Twitter, or anything else that you're using. And like I say, the more connected, the more complete that profile is, the better your chances to be optimized for that special keyword that you're looking for. No?
That's good. And that's what you're helping companies to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So next question, what about reviews then? Because that's one of the main differentiators between a Google local page and a brand or company page generally.
Exactly. Well, that's one thing is that a lot of people, business owners, they forget that they're waiting for organic reviews. They forget that you can actually start that, give it a little push by asking for it, and have some kind of system in your store. It can be local, can be in your store or offline, or in your website, to make it easier for people to review your website on Google Plus, because those reviews right now are becoming one of the main, a really important factor. And I consider one of the main factors, but one important factor for that profile to rank well on Google.
Yeah, but it's also, as well as the potential within the algorithm that's going to be taken into account, but it's also just from a social proof point of view of seeing that you've got customers that are happy with what you've got, as opposed to somebody that hasn't done the work and has got no stars. And it's just you look at it, and in your mind you go, well, I trust that one more than I trust that one.
Exactly. Give you the social proof that you need to usually that social proof by itself can increase your sales.
Yeah. So that's great. Where can people find you, Luis?
You can actually find me right here on Google Plus. I'm mostly in Google Plus, but also you can find me on have a small blog, is webmarketingdude.com, or you can search for localmarketingboys.com, which is the agency for marketing and stuff.
Wonderful, thank you. And let me come across to Travis, because he's been doing a lot with Google Local and been working with clients in Plush Business as well. What comments have you got to add, if any? I don't know, Travis, have you?
Well, the other thing that people don't realize when they enter into the realm of the local is that when you go into the search and things are set up right or properly in the local area, then you actually see the number of followers and even reviews there right in the local search area. So that's something that usually ups somebody's desire to push onto that link or onto that domain or that business, because it actually has that social proof sitting right there, right inside the search engine.
So not just the review numbers, it's also the follower count, which means the network is building, as well as influencing, I guess, on personalized search as well when they get to the point of the posting. So I guess that's the other side, is when they're actually getting active, then you can be looking at the information, as I said, gaining legs and spreading that.
Well, and one other thing that people, I don't think, talk about very often is that with a regular business, when you like a regular business page, it takes a long time to get to a point where you get that social check that you're a verified business.
Yeah.
When you're a local business and you verified your email, your phone number, and your website, then that local check mark comes available right away, much quicker than with a regular business page.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, well, thank you both. Luis, thank you so much for popping in, chap.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you, Luis.
And I'm going to be asking you about whether you'd like to blog. I'm going to ask you in public, and then you'll be pushed into a corner. Whether you'd like to do a blog sometime for Plush Your Business. See? He's keeping quiet. I'm going to see. I'll ask you again. I'll see if I can get you guest blogging. It'd be great to have your thoughts on things, particularly around the reviews. And we get so many questions that people have, and in fact, it came up this week where people are saying, can we ask for reviews? Can we do things? And it's like, there's considerations around that, isn't it? So it'd be great to pick up some of those questions.
Cool. Of course, that's good. That sounds really good.
Awesome. We shall do that. Well, thank you. Now, I was going to come on to Mike next, but if you can hold on a sec, Mike, because Sarah has popped in it. Sarah, do you know what? How many times have I hang out with you, and I still end up. I never say your surname because I always see you. Uyeyama.
Okay.
It's close enough. It's great. It's good. From Helmet City. So myself and Sarah were working together from, I don't know when, September last year? No, right about that. On the Helmet City page, and I call you, unless anyone else is listening that's also been working with me, in which case closure is. But Sarah's the best student ever, because she applies, and she knows it because she applies everything to the detail. And we worked together on the spreadsheets and created a system for tracking, for conversions and for uplifting search. We went into the detail, and you like that side of it, which is good. That's great. Anyway, so welcome. How's things?
Yeah, things are good. Thank you.
Good. Do you want to explain what Helmet City does and what you do with it?
We sell helmets, and we sell mostly for motorsports, motorcycle, automotive racing helmets, as well as any gear you would need to ride a motorcycle. And we've been on the internet since 1997. Our first website went up 1997.
Wow.
We've been at it a long time, and come at it from every angle. So excited to be doing Google Plus because it's one of the more rewarding things we've done.
Yeah, it's great, and you're doing a great job. I mean, the engagement. I mean, you've been used as a case study in lots of different places, including you got mentioned in the keynote by Mike Stelzner at Social Media Marketing World. Now, the bit that people don't know is that Mike got in touch with me and said, "Can I have a good case study?" And I said, "Sarah." I said, "She's been wonderful." So he featured her in front of about 1,800 people. There's probably about a 5-minute thing saying, "Look, guys, you've got to get on Google Plus," and looked at your engagement on the content that you were putting out, and good, appropriate content where people are tracking on the click-throughs. We know how many people are going through to the website. We know when there are sales occurring and all that. So it's like it's not just engagement for engagement's sake. Is that we've got a process. So that's great. What tips would you give people for them getting started and increase their engagement on the brand page?
I think the most valuable thing that you told me was to make it about them. I think that's kind of been the core of everything we've done with the page.
Yeah.
And that just kind of made me look at the community, look what was important to them, the kind of things that they wanted to engage with. And just looking at, because I don't ride a motorcycle myself, but I've been in business long enough that I'm beginning to understand the mentality. And so just looking at it from their point of view and using that to use content.
That's really cool, and you've done that. You do a brilliant job. Yeah. And you're building your community around you. I mean, that's the thing that we worked on is and this is a page that we're talking about. We're not talking about a separate community, because for you can get the engagement within your content. That's what you're really looking for. So it's using every bit of interaction, every plus one, every comment, every share, and taking that into a relational context, as opposed to just letting people click the buttons. It's utilizing that. It's being able to see their face, have a conversation with them, go and engaging on their content, building the brand. That's a lot of what we talked about as well. It's not just the click-throughs. It's also you want to be top of mind when they're making that decision.
Yeah. And one interesting thing that's come out of all this that I haven't told you yet because I haven't talked to you in a while, but now that I'm back in the business doing sales, I'm on the phone with customers, it really has expanded my knowledge of the mentality, and so I'm actually able to connect with the customers more when I talk to them on the phone, and it could almost be, we can talk about this later privately, but like a training tool for if you have a sales force that you want to train on your product or your brand before you put them on the phone with customers. It really is a good way to engage with the community. That's
great, because ultimately it's an individual, it's people, and we're learning their perspective and what's important to them, isn't it? I mean, this is why it's not about the numbers. Even though the numbers are important, but they're not. It's about treating each person as an individual and building the relationship, which is cool. And that's great. No, thanks, Sarah. And thanks to Charlotte as well, for Charlotte Pierce, for putting in she said, Martin Shervington says, Sarah is the best case study on content marketing engagement process leading to plus in business. So, thanks, Charlotte. That's great. Well, and thank you for popping in. And I'm going to come across to... So that was Sarah from helmetcity.com, everybody.
Yeah, I might have to pop out and go back to the babies.
Yeah. You go back to it. You've got three little ones.
Yeah.
Take care. Love to see you.
Okay, nice to see you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
And coming across to Mike Alton. We've got a question here. I'm going to sow the seed. We'll do the intro in a second. The question is going to be, so what is best to promote your website? Is it best to promote as a company or promote as a writer? So I think we're putting from profiles and pages here. That's from James Wickenden. So we'll come on to that in a second, James. Mike, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Martin?
Doing fine. Fine. It's a fun show. Lovely to see people.
Yeah, it's going well.
Very cool. So, people may well know who you are. You're the man that writes brilliant blogs, has a good perspective of content marketing, goes across many different channels. So do you want to give a perspective of how Google Plus fits into your overall content marketing process or strategy?
Yeah, for me personally, it's certainly the most important cog in the wheel, so to speak. You know, like Louis was saying, you know, I'm here all day. If somebody wants to find me, go to Plus My Galton. That's where you're going to see me, you know, posting and commenting and engaging. You know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Bebo and Quora and every place else you can think of. But that's mostly for testing and observing. So that way, if I do happen to have a client that I want to work with and they happen to be targeting teenage girls in England, well, then we know they need to be on Bebo. But for everybody else, it's going to be Google Plus most of the time.
Cool. So, in terms of this, I'm going to ask you a few questions first, before we come on to Matthew's. What tips would you have for people who are starting off on Google Plus and just their marketing? Maybe they're using Google AdWords, maybe they've got a Twitter account, but they're not necessarily using it, and they look at Google Plus and they go, "I hear this is." That's often the sort of conversations that we're having with people that are coming through. Where do you begin? What's your process?
Well, we'll start it in a lot of different places, but one of the things that we usually talk about is, you know, as me as a business, what do I talk about on Google+? What do I talk about on social media? What am I sharing? Unless I'm blogging every day, in between blog posts, what do I post? And one of the things that I like to have people do is start to follow other people who are influential in their niche, who are educators and peers and colleagues, because they can reshare their content. But that takes time. So one of the first things we do is we try to identify maybe 10 or 12 websites that are sources of articles and information that are appropriate for that business. Maybe their news, maybe their how-to stuff. And this is where Hootsuite comes in, because instead of having to go to each one of those different websites every single day, we can plug them into Hootsuite and have the latest articles from those sources show up in a stream on your Hootsuite dashboard.
So it's
every morning,
it's an aggregator as well as a distribution mechanism.
Yeah. Now the word of caution there is we're not automatically spamming out these links.
Sure.
We're just bringing them into one spot, so that way you can save yourself some time and just look at the stream and say, okay, yeah, I like that article. That sounds appropriate. You can click it and read it real quick and make sure it makes sense. And then you can share it right from Hootsuite to your Google Plus page and any place else you want to share it.
Okay, so let's look at that before we come on to that question. Why do I want to be sharing other people's content? Is going to be a question that people get.
A lot of different reasons for that. Number one, it goes back to what I was just saying before. One of the great things you can do on social networks is connect with other people, other influencers, and the really easy way to do that is to share their stuff. Make sure you mention them when you do that, because that's going to give them an indicator that you're engaging with them, and that's going to open up the potential there for a relationship. The other reason, one of the main reasons, is that you don't want your stream most of the time to be all about you. So if you will take the time to share other people's content, it gives your audience that different perspective. It allows you to be that much more active on your social channel, rather than just it's always you, always giving your opinion.
So it's a way to build relationships, a way to break up it being yours, and I mean, on Google Plus, sharing, particularly with the context that you give, your perspective on it, to show that you read the article and that you're engaging around it. That's a great way of building relationships, and it's the way I look at it. I think we're pretty aligned on this, Mike. It says I want my network to look like, and it means that your network and your content rise together. So if you're sharing pictures of cat gifs all day long, then and you've got the cat gif lovers, that is a group of people that are just looking at that. Well, when you come to want to share something which is talking about futurism, or you're talking about tech, or you're talking about, they may not relate to that. So, this is always the way. Is like if your content isn't appropriate for your network, then they don't engage. And the lovely thing is we can see the plus ones, the comments, the shares on here. You can tell which content people connect with. Let's talk about images, because we did the Canva quest this week, and you're the same as I am. Images matter. Don't they? So what tips would you give people? And we've got to come on to the question from James. But what tips would you give people in relation to images, having had this experience this week with the quest?
Yeah, images are huge, and I love that you did that quest, because I discovered Canva not long ago, maybe a month or two ago, and previous to that, my images were crap. I am not a graphic designer.
Content marketing term, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very technical term, using some jargon there. I apologize for that. I own Photoshop because I use it for other technical reasons, but I can't create graphics in Photoshop. I can probably crop them, and that's it. And as a blogger, I know that an image has to be with every single blog post. That's the rule. If you're a client of mine, that's your rule. You better be including an image with every single one of your blog posts. Yeah. So I was using Mac Preview to build these things, and they look like garbage. But with Canva, I can be a little more creative. I can add some effects. I can add text, and that is so important. It's one thing to have an image. It's another thing to have taken the time to craft an image that ties with the content you're sharing, that has actual text on it, and because that's what's going to make it stand out in the stream on Google Plus and Pinterest in particular.
Yeah.
And I've told clients, try this exercise. Go to your Google Plus homepage and just kind of unfocus on what you're seeing and look at all these different posts and which ones catch your eye. It's the ones with the image.
Yeah.
You gloss right over the ones that are just text and a link.
It's cool. I'm going to come on to the question that James asked now. So, what is best to promote your website? Is it best to promote as a company or promote as a writer? I think really, I think this is a profile page question, really. So, what are your thoughts on that? Should we be building up personal authority from profile or building a brand page?
Yeah, and I actually wrote a rather lengthy article about that, because it's not a simple question. There's not a single answer that fits for everybody, because it depends on a lot of different factors. Who you are as an individual, what is your business about, who's your target audience, how often are you blogging, that sort of thing. You might be a big brand that doesn't have a single face of the company that it would make sense to promote. In that case, you're probably going to want to lean towards the brand. Or you might be a solopreneur, and you're building up your personal brand like I am. I mean, I have a company, the Social Media Hat, and I've got a brand page, but I do most of my engaging with my personal profile, because that's what I want people to know me for. I want them to connect with me personally.
Yep. Good advice. I think that one of the advantages of having a brand page is you can have 50 managers, so that makes a difference to how you're delivering stuff. And you can use systems like Buffer and Hootsuite on a brand page. You can't use that on a profile, but people relate to people first. I think it's fair to say, isn't it? So I would say the answer to your question, James, is profile. Certainly give it a go for a month from your profile. If you were a brand page coming in now, I wouldn't have in the same way as knowing it was you with a person with a profile picture. So good advice. Mike, where can people find you, apart from getting in touch via Plus Your Business? Do you want to give a shout out for your details?
Yeah, like I said, Plus Mike Alton on Google Plus, absolutely the best place to get a hold of me and find me and see what I'm up to. The socialmediahat.com is my site, and really looking forward to this. Hopefully next week, cross our fingers, the new book, The Book on Hootsuite, will be coming out with a special foreword by my dear friend, Martin Shervington.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you, Mike. And going to come across to the next community member who's dived on in. He's moving towards his microphone. Ryan Hanley. How are you, Ryan?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I'm great. Thanks for the invite coming in. Great to meet with everybody. It's the first time I've actually been on the same show as Mike Alton, so this is like I'm crushing pretty hard right now that I get to share the video screen with Mike. But it's a pleasure, man.
Same here.
Good to see you. And I met Ryan. In fact, I think we had breakfast together, didn't we, at the social media marketing world?
The contributors' breakfast. Yes, we did. We shared some eggs. Not on the same plate, though.
Well, it's great to see you. And Ryan, do you want to explain to people what you do?
So I am predominantly the host of the Content Warfare Hangout, which is a show that actually just finished. I popped in late because I was chatting with one of our guests post-show, Kim Reynolds, who is absolutely fantastic, and we had a great show with Wade Harmon. And after that, I am the soon-to-be owner of my own digital marketing agency. I am currently an in-house director of marketing for an insurance agency, and in a little less than 2 weeks, I will own my very own digital marketing agency, going out and helping people with content marketing and with specialties inside of Google Plus and YouTube.
Wonderful. Great. And in terms of your activity on Google Plus, picking up on the question from earlier, do you focus on a profile or your page, and what's the reasons for doing that?
So I have, in my head, I have a very clear delineation between why I would use one versus the other, and for me, it's thoughts and engagement go on my personal profile, resources go on my page. So the Content Warfare page gets a lot of my content curation. It gets a lot of my sharing of kind of additional resources, things that I find, infographics, stuff like that. And then my actual profile page is where I'm doing my commenting. I am sharing kind of unique original content to the Google Plus platform that you won't find anywhere else, and really kind of diving deeper into smaller thoughts. And that's how I delineate between the two. Thoughts go on my personal profile, thoughts and engagement, and resources go on my brand page.
Okay, great. Good advice. And looking at tips, you like tips. I mean, what tips would you give to people who are starting out?
The number one tip that I tell people who are just starting out is comment, right? It's almost like blogging 4 years ago. Comment, 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 comment. Make it valuable. Don't use it as a tactic. Use it as a relationship building tool. And if you can take yourself out of the I should be commenting 11 times a day or something crazy like that, like if you're just going in and finding good posts that you have some sort of opinion on and adding value to the conversation, your engagement in this platform will increase exponentially. Find a community that you fit into, whether it's photography or, if you're interested in Google Plus and taking that deeper, plus your business. I mean, if you go in there and just start engaging in conversation, the amount of value that other creators on this platform put into someone who's willing to comment on their post and put a little thought into that comment, you're just not going to get that on a Facebook or a LinkedIn or someplace else. There's so much value on that engagement here that's the first place to start for me.
Great stuff. Thanks, Ryan. Oh, one more thing then. Tips, because we've been talking about images, because we did the Canva quest this week. Yep. What are your thoughts on images?
I'm right with Mike. Like, the image in many cases is just as important as the actual words or the video that you're putting on the page, because take a second and scroll through your own Google Plus stream. I'm going to reiterate a lot of what Mike said. When you're going through, who pops out? Rebecca Radice? Why does she pop out? Every single article that she reads, I have to stop and at least figure out what it's about, because she's got this big, colorful image that really draws me in, that I haven't seen on some stock photography site 1,000 times, and I just can't help but stop and look at it. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can do that. If you don't want to include an image on your post, you can always, if you're using WordPress, use the featured image feature so that it shares into social feeds, but it isn't necessarily on your post itself. There's a lot of different things you can do with them, but a tool like Canva, a tool like PicMonkey, indispensable to the content creator in today's kind of social world.
Great stuff. And one last thing then, Ryan. Let's talk about video for a second, because you love video as well. I mean, you do podcasting. You love it. So what tips would you give people who are starting out with video?
Oof. All right. And try to stay off my soapbox as long as I can. But so there.
Yeah, you can get on your soapbox.
All right. So 5 years ago, when I started doing YouTube videos, you could hold a cell phone camera up like this and talk into that cell phone camera, and that was good enough, because you were creating, right? And people are like, oh, it's just so nice that you're putting video on YouTube. I think that those days are gone. The availability to high quality video creation products, this has an HD camera on it now, but a tripod, a cell phone, and a lavalier mic gives you HD quality, high quality sound. that is like a $27 investment. And if your image is shaky or the sound is bad, people are like, geez, you couldn't invest $27 into producing something that was actually watchable. And so for video, I would say spend the $27, a $19 Radio Shack lavalier mic. It comes with a battery, though I would recommend buying more, and the Android, iPhone, three-legged tripod carrier, and you can create nice quality video. What you say is important too, but we don't have time for all that. But don't say stupid things. Say smart things.
This is perfect, because this is what we're looking at with Canva as well.
Yeah.
Is we've got to up our game.
Yep. Yeah, you have to up your game.
Yeah, and we can see that over the last couple of years is that all of us need to get the images better, get the videos better, which is why we're doing the show in the way that we're doing the show here as well, is because we can see that people are coming in with more professional studio and so on, which is why we've got Travis in the studio, which is great.
Yeah.
And experimenting with it, whilst also knowing that people want to see high quality content delivered well. So
yeah, the bar is higher. The bar is way, way higher than it used to be, and not that should keep people from getting involved, but you just need to be a little more thoughtful about what you're doing, I think.
Yeah, and this is why with Plus Your Business, what we're doing, again, telling people all the tools that we're using, and just giving away that information is so that we can all lift the bar together.
Yes.
And people are coming in. It's been great to see. It takes a while to get your eye in to what is good as well, and once you get it, and you can work it for yourself in your business. Yeah. Ryan, that's super advice. Where can people find you?
RyanHanley.com, or I am plus Ryan M Hanley here on Google Plus. For some reason, the Google Plus would not give me just Ryan Hanley. So, and big shout out to Charlotte Pierce. Love Face the Book. Great podcast for authors, or great hangout for authors. Sorry.
Thank you for your positive comments about Ryan and everybody, Charlotte. It's great to have you here.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you. Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
So, let me just come back in. Well, folks, let me dive back to... Let's do the roundup and then come back into the studio. Hilary first. What thoughts do you have before we move on? On with our days.
Nope, just a great hanging out with everybody. I'm looking forward to our... our next Chris Brogan contest, and we'll see, perhaps there'll be teams again, and we'll see which team shall prevail.
We may not have teams on this one. We might. We'll see. We'll work it out, but it's certainly going to be fun. So, and thank you for your efforts with the community, because Hilary is welcoming people into the community, so you'll now know who you're talking with, which is great. So thank you. Luis, coming across to you. Thanks for popping in, chap.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was great to to be hanging out with all you guys, especially like Ryan said, I never had the opportunity to hang out with Mike either. So it was awesome.
Good stuff. Well, great to have you here. And coming across to Mike, everyone loves Mike. So, Mike, we've got your book out very soon. So we'll have maybe a special show on that as well. And focus on that. That's just great. And any final thoughts?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is so great about these hangouts is getting to meet these guys. I mean, I've talked to probably everybody on the panel at one point or another on Google Plus. But yeah, we get to do the FaceTime thing, which is cool. One other tip though I wanted to leave you with. If you're going to use Hootsuite to manage your Google Plus, in fact, any third-party tool, this is the same for Buffer or DoShare, you can mention people if you know their ID string.
So that's a 21-digit ID, so not plus in their name, but essentially plus and then the digits, yeah?
Right. So you can set up a share, you can schedule it for at some point in the future, and you can, plus mention Martin Shervington if you're sharing one of his great stuff, one of his great articles, and get that nice attention and credit with your post.
Good tip. Nicely done. And they'll get that notification. That's the point. Yep. So they get the notification then, Mike. That's the key bit. Yeah. Whereas if you don't plus mention, they don't get it, and they may not know that you shared it. But thank you. Cool. Okay. Now coming across, Ryan. Last thoughts.
Last thoughts. Last thoughts. I pretty much blew my whole wad on the questions that you asked me. I wasn't ready for you to come back down.
That's all right. Good. Good to have you. Right. Moving on from that. Thank you. Stan.
Well, I'll just tell you that it was a lot of fun to listen to Ryan. I've seen him. I have the same kind of feeling about being on this panel and being with these guys as he does, because I look at the talent that you guys have got and that are sharing with it, and it's just, I feel really happy to be here. Because, I got like 5,000 followers. You guys got like, 300,000 and stuff. So I really am honored to be in this group. I appreciate it.
Well, it's great to have you here. And as we know, it's not about the followers. It's about the content, about the engagement, about the conversation. That's the thing. So, and it's great. And to everybody who's watching this, who's part of the Plus Your Business community, everybody here is accessible. Just get in touch with us. And if you want a conversation, ping us into a thread, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. So before I come into the studio, thanks to Heather Thompson, to Charlotte Pierce, to James Wickenden. Glad you got your question answered there. To Peter Lunn. And I'm just having a look who else. Just a quick shout. And thanks to Sarah for being in earlier. She's fantastic. So check out the Helmet City page to find out more what they're up to. And Travis, back into the studio, sir.
Hi there, Martin, and everybody else. This was a really great one. Lewis was one of the first people I started following on Google Plus when I started a couple of years ago, and he's the one that kind of pushed me towards the local stuff. So I have to say thanks for that. And everybody else here is just always just awesome. Ryan, I've just recently started following you, and you put out really great information. So please keep it up. And everybody else here on the Plus Your Business panel know that they're worth and how much I appreciate them. So yeah, I think it turned out really well.
Good. Well, thank you, Travis. And last thoughts from me, we've got a busy couple of weeks ahead with the Academy, so we'll be letting people know about the next phase with the training because we want to get everybody through the level 1 competencies. If you want to know about the competencies, they are on plusyourbusiness.com. I put a blog post out that has, it's called the Pioneer, or Pioneer is the first level, and there's a lot that we cover. And we've committed to getting everyone through. We've got hundreds of people that we're going to help training through. If they're individuals, it's going to be totally free. And if they're a business, then there's going to be a small charge that will help to cover the cost of getting everyone else for free. So we are excited. It's going to be great. So myself, Stan, and Hilary, and a few other people in the background are working very hard to get that done in the next 2 weeks or so. So we shall return on that. And I'm here. I'm about in the community. Always just ping me in. If you've got questions, the easiest way is to drop them into the community, tag my name on it, and myself or one of the moderators will come and pick them up. So there we go. Thanks again, Travis. Thanks to Core, if you can hear me in the background, who's managing the cameras and things. And that was this week's show. So until the next time, take care, everybody. Thanks to all the people in the film strip, and see you next time. Bye for now.